It's a beautiful day here, Outliers, and I'm just so grateful that we get to spend it with you here today. Thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey. I'm Niiamah Shang, and I'm joined here today with four incredible trailblazers who are going to share their experience and how they see the world so that they can elevate and bring ourselves forward toward the next challenges and the things that we're creating in our life and in our business. I want to make sure you get a chance to get to know these trailblazers right now. So why don't we get to know them? Alicia, we'll start off with you. Let us know more about you and the game that you're playing.
Sure. So thank you for having me and arranging this incredible panel. The game that I'm playing is one that's authentic to me. I'm a person of faith. I know that not everyone is, but I believe that every human has a calling and a purpose on their life. And when you lean into that authenticity and what you believe to be the calling on your life and you pursue it with full force for the entirety of your life, you are bound to make a mark during this time that we have, the short time that we have on this planet.
Love it out that's coming out. Thanks very much, Alicia. We'll see how we play with that, especially in that purpose and making that mark. It feels really good. Marley, let's get to know you. Tell us more about you and the game you're currently playing.
Yeah, I love that question. What is the game that you are playing? I am here to unleash and unlock people's like full potential, their full expression of who they are. And Alicia, I love that idea of like authenticity is the highest frequency energy that we can have as leaders, coaches, change makers, speakers. So it's like really like helping people be the you can possibly be and sharing the gifts that you have to with the world. That's what I'm up to. So stoked to be here.
Oh, thanks, Marley. Glad to have you here. Dave, let's get to know you. Tell us more about you and the game you're currently playing.
Yeah, once again, I'll share the same comments that what an awesome panel and really privileged to be a part of it, Niiamah. So thank you. Yeah, so I'm Dave Clare. My organization, Circle Leadership, but and we help evolve the world of work. So that's the game that my company plays. But the game I play is purpose. So is how to create purpose-driven leadership in the world. So I've dedicated my life over the last 25 years to helping leaders uncover their purpose and the purpose of their organization.
Glad to hear, David. I'm already starting to hear a theme starting to emerge. Let's see where it goes. All right, Simone, let's get to know you and the game that you're currently playing.
Hey everyone, I'm Simone and I'm with the rest of the group. I'm playing Know Thyself and Faith Over Fear. I teach people how to use trauma storytelling and reflecting through their pain to kind of help them find their purpose or find themselves. Once we know thyself, then we can have the power to do anything that we want.
Mm. All right. So now y'all got me playing here. I thought this conversation would go in one direction, and then immediately, like, purpose had just shown up. Purpose has entered. It's our sixth participant. So let's just pull that in. What's coming for me right now is I end every single conversation here with a call to outliers to be you on purpose. All right. But there's actually an element in there where it was specifically designed. So there's the be you part, but then there's the on purpose. And so one of them is with intention, and the other one is with purpose, like with like toward what it is that you stand for. And so I think that since we're using the word purpose here today, I'd like to start off with to explore that on both lenses for us here. Let's start off with what I'm going to say purpose with a little p, which is more like with intention. Right. And then we'll go to purpose with a big P, which is like the big thing that y'all are talking about. All right. And so, like, one of the things I'm curious about is how have y'all continued to like pursue your goals and like and build your businesses in a way that has like been intentionally aligned with you? Let's start off with that. I'm going to toss that question out to the group. The way I work is I'll toss it out. We'll let y'all play with it, and then we'll see where we take it from there. So, does anyone want to get us started on this question? Yeah, Marla, I see you.
Yeah, I'll dive in. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for the past 8 years, and how it started out was with one-on-one coaching and a little bit of speaking and some retreats is kind of like how it started out. It was like, how do I mean, I think this question of like, how do I want to share my magic? Like there's a lot of modalities out there. And as I've grown over the years, and like I ran an adult summer camp for women for 7 years, and it was like I kept asking the question, like, what is the thing that lights me up the most? When do I feel like I'm in kind of that idea that like that zone, my zone of genius, or what I'm calling like my zone of energy, like what gives me the most energy? And it's being on stage and speaking. I'm like, the more people in the room, the better. Like, let's freaking go. So in the past year or two, I've really let go of pretty much everything else. I've let go of one-on-one coaching, group coaching, retreats even, which I love retreats, but it's like the thing that fuels me and fills me up, that feels the most aligned with like what am I here to do, is being on stage and delivering keynotes. And I love it. I love it. I love it. And that's like I've really like doubled down on that by and it's hard sometimes to let go of the things that like, well, it's working, but is it authentic to me? Like I'm an Aries, I'm a 7, I'm a generator, I'm a catalyst. So I love that like that igniting, catalyzing energy, that activation energy. But like holding a container for like a year-long group coaching program was just like exhausting. Or even one-on-one coaching, feeling like, oh, I'm like, I felt so responsible versus like I can give a 1 hour keynote, plant 1,000 seeds of joy, energy, possibility, and then say, peace out, rock it out. So that's a little bit of my journey and how I've like just tried to like hone in on like what is the thing that I am here for.
I love it. I love it. There's some things I'm going to take in here, but like, let's actually let the conversation just keep expanding for now. Thank you, Marli. Dave, I see you unmuted. You want to bring something in?
Yeah, so when I love the point of going from little P to the big P. Um, for me, as a guy who's been helping people craft their purpose statement since 2001, um, for me, 1999 is when I realized the power of being purposeful or intention. So to your question, when I realized that the most important thing for my life, or what gave my life meaning, was being in the service of something outside of myself, or service to someone outside of myself, is when I found greater meaning in my own life. And that's when I started this journey towards creating the bigger P for my life. But that purposeful, or the intention, that's where that came from. I looked at all the things I'd done through my life, and when I found most joy is when I was being in service of something or someone outside of me. And that led me to finding my own purpose and then helping other people to do the same.
I love it. I love it. Simone, Alicia, anything coming to you on this one?
Sure, I can jump in. So I'm feeling like I'm a little bit younger, but I'm gonna tell this because I feel like it's people can relate to it. So I'm a first generation college student, and I grew up in a Jamaican household. So there's a lot of cultural standards on education that's placed on you at a young age. So my first intentional goal was to not be a statistics. Young Black girl from Brooklyn, don't be a statistic. And when I graduated from high school, that was like my thing. And I got into college. That was a success. However, when I got into college, I was kind of like doing anything that would stick, because the second goal was like, just find something that's going to pay you, that you could pay back your loans when you graduate. But through that process, I know in my heart, I always loved working with kids, but my environment kept discouraging me to work with kids. And they encouraged me to work with kids in the one way that they could only see, and that is teaching. And so I went into teaching instead of social work, which is where my heart kind of was, because I like talking about emotions. I was leading an after school program in college and all these things. But they were like, you're not going to make any money. Why get to college and make all these loans and you cannot pay them? So my family convinced me to be an educator. And I did that for 7 years. And throughout that time, I learned there were so many gaps in education, and how kids were being treated, that I started to create things outside of the school so that the kids had a space to talk about the things they really wanted, which was my nonprofit, Resilient Young Minds. So I did that as a teacher. And while doing that, I learned that there is a job for this. It's called school social work or social work. And that empowered me to go back to school again. So I'm now like getting my second master's degree in social work. And in there, I started to do therapy with family in a drug treatment facility. Never been, don't know nothing. They're like, you're going to be a family intern. You're an educator. They gave me an internship that was more advanced because I was already a professional and had certain skills. When I sat down with families, child and parent next to each other and actually talking to them about the problems in the school that you would never see, like that's happening behind the scene, but it's impacting my classroom, but I'm not allowed to talk about. Once I was able to do that over here, I was like, oh, this is different. I like this. And that led me into fully going into wanting to support families and into school social work. So then got my degree in school social work, and I went in as a school social worker, which was another side to speed it up. I'm no longer in the school system as a school social worker because I saw the even more worse side of education. Being on that side, I was burnt out. I lost a lot of weight, exhaustion, and it's making me sick. And I had to do a deep spiritual search to figure out this was my dream job. Why am I so unhappy in the job that I prayed for, that I worked for, and I actually achieved? And so I decided to go back to school to get my doctorate in social work. And during that process, 2 years into the new information I received, I was like, school systems are not for me. I don't like the way they treat children. I don't like the way they treat family. I do not agree with their methods. And because I don't agree with it, I'm choosing to step away. And since then, my health has improved and I feel so much better. So I'm going full force with my consulting firm, advocating for parents, teaching parents and children social and emotional learning from a private level, and supporting schools from the outside.
I'll jump in. It's so awesome because I don't know if the listeners recognize this, but none of us know each other unless you all know each other behind the scenes. But we're on all corners of the planet, and in those discussions, there was a through line through my own story, and I think through everyone's story. And the through line is this: it's evolution. Your life, your purpose, it's never going to be stagnant. So, like your core reason for life, I call it your North Star. That's something that you're always going to be chasing, but how you march toward it or the route that you take to achieve it is going to evolve over time. So, I'm coming out of a period of pretty significant evolution. Simone, I resonate a lot with your story. I'm a first generation college student as well. And going to college, I knew I just needed to pay off that debt and get a job that would put a roof over my head. Obviously, I'm a woman, but my deep love has always been sports, and I wanted to be a sports writer. And so when I was 14, I shadowed the local sports editor for the Denver newspaper, and he gave me every reason under the sun why nobody, let alone a young woman, should become a sports writer. And one of the biggest mistakes I made in my life at the age of 14 is I listened to that man and I let him, a stranger, essentially put me on a new course for my life. Now it all worked out. I went to law school, I went to engineering school, but I wasn't pursuing my true purpose or my true calling. And that all changed on July 1st, 2011, when I stayed up all night, built a website with zero web design or journalistic experience, and the website was called rulingsports.com. Today, that's my media company. On that day, what is it, 14 years ago, I didn't know that I was building a media company. I was designing a blog to showcase that athletes are more than the game they play. Now, today, LeBron James has a trademark for more than an athlete. But if we go back in time 14 years ago, that's not what journalism was doing. Journalism was highlighting athletes' ill pursuits off of their respective field of play, the arrests, the domestic violence incidents, the bankruptcies. I knew that was not the norm in sports, though. I knew that 99.9% of athletes had these incredible stories beyond the game. They just needed somebody to tell them. So over the last 14 years, I've worked to do that in many ways, working for major journalistic enterprises like Forbes, CNBC, the Huffington Post, the Washington Post, and most recently, The Athletic, to finally coming back to my baby today, ruling sports, rebuilding it, and creating great tools for athletes of all ages and abilities to achieve their full potential.
I appreciate y'all on this one here. Thank you. And this the fun part about it here is like we just looked at like part one of like we looked at lowercase p with this here, right? Um, there's something that really plays out, and I'm hearing all of these stories, and Alicia, I think you're right in catching that evolution component of this, like through line through this. Um, I think I want to go, and I recognize that I like purpose. I used to love it. I used to love it. Like I feel like I'm in a room right now. Like they ever look at you, I'm like, I feel like you're like, oh, I've been doing this for like 20 plus. You're like this is my thing, you know? And so honestly, I think I would have asked this question from a selfish perspective. It tends to work out when I come there. But I think I think what I would love to do by the end of this question is to fall back in love with purpose, right? And so I'm very curious here. Maybe this is it. Like can you share a time when you like fell out of love with purpose and like how did you like bring yourself back in? When did you find that it was you were on like I know I'm on mission, but like it doesn't it's not I don't have that spark that used to exist. I'm almost like trying to refine that, refined that, not with an E. And so I'm really curious because I can imagine the other trailblazers are out there. They're like, hey, back in the day, I was doing this. Everyone was giving me accolades. I knew I was alive with it. This is great. But now I've evolved. Life has changed. And I'm like, I'm still on the path. Like, I'm not giving up. Simone, you talked about it. You're like, I'm still getting there. But the same the field isn't the same. So I'd love to just bring that into this space here. Does anyone have any thoughts, any stories that they would want to share, or any and we'll keep the stories kind of brief, but like yeah, I just want to open it up. Dave, I see you just unmuted again, so let me come to you.
Yeah, so this is I guess I'm challenged by the question only slightly because I don't fall out of love with my purpose. What may have happened is you hadn't had it clearly defined, or fully defined at this stage. Like when I first started working on purpose for myself, and I realized I wanted to create and inspire purpose-driven leadership, which was my purpose. I went out and I'd written my book. I was speaking around the world, and I virtually lost everything because what I was doing, I was just inspiring people, inspiring purpose-driven leadership, excuse me, but I wasn't creating purpose-driven leadership. So I was only really half fulfilling my purpose, and it became very much so I was almost like ready to give up. But what it reminded me of in the methodology and the purpose model in which we created, or that I created back in 2001 when I helped the first person create their purpose statement, it's the same way that I found or uncovered, because I don't think you have to find purpose. It's there. You just have to uncover it or realize it. Was that it's for us, we look at it as what's the problem you're passionate about solving? So where your passion collides with their problem, in the middle of that is where your purpose lies. And first, you got to be clear on there. So who do you want to evolve and stay relevant in the hearts and minds of? And a lot of people get the problem part right, but it's the passion part that everyone gets wrong. Because when you think about the word passion, what's the definition of the word passion? Right? Most people will tell you it's a romantic version, like it's do work that you love and all this sort of stuff. But it's not. If you go to the root of the word passion or the etymology of it, it means to suffer. It's based on the Latin word of pacienta, which is, if you remember, like Passion of the Christ. So it's what are you willing to suffer or endure? So I call it your ability to endure. So if you don't have the passion, when we talk about passion, not just loving the work that you do, so you didn't necessarily, or people don't fall out of love, is they just haven't found their passion. Oh no, I loved it. No, 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 no. Were you willing to endure? Were you able to suffer through? Because we all know with a powerful enough why, there's many hows and many whats, right? You'll always find a way if you have a strong enough why. And so when I find people on that journey who've fallen out of love, I just don't think that they actually understood what the passion part was. What love really means is your ability to endure.
Let's keep this open here, but I want to let you know, Dave, just like real quick that like I appreciate the challenge in that for me. It's really confronting, and that's what I like. That's why I asked it. You know, oh, like where like is the passion gone? Like there's another part of it saying like, oh, if it's just the suffering, is the passion still there? And so like it's really an interesting like, yeah, it's very confronting to me. I want to make sure I said that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I love that, Dave. Like, yeah, I'm ready to run through a wall with that idea. Marley's opening really resonated with me too, because I feel like I'm in a season that she told the group about where she had all of these offerings and she finally scaled down to what she loved the most. I think sometimes your passion can wane when you are in a period of what I call burnout. And in my own life, something that I realize creates burnout is frankly when I just take on too much. I say yes to too many things. And to circle it back to Dave, there are things that when we really root down into it, maybe aren't fully aligned with my passion. So I think for your listeners, the ability to say no. And you know, I kind of come from like a scarcity background, right? Where it's like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to get an opportunity? Is anyone ever going to give me a paycheck? And when you are raised with that mindset or you come up with that mindset, sometimes you find yourself, you're like, oh my goodness, like let's take a look at my day planner. I've done the opposite of not having opportunities. I've said yes to too much. And when I drill down into what I'm doing, it's not the best aligned with my purpose. So for me, burnout and saying yes to too many things that aren't fully aligned with what I should be doing can create a little dissatisfaction with the purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to both of you where it's like sometimes our focus gets diluted. And when you're like trying to do so many things and it's like there are a lot of ways in which to share your gifts, right? And I think when we're out of alignment with that, when we're trying to force, I think that you see all these ads, right? It's like create a six-figure business in 6 days by like using my framework. And it's like I think sometimes when we like follow somebody else's path versus like following your path. And even like I joined a program kind of recently and I said, what advice would you give to someone who's like new? And I loved the answer to this question. This woman said, you're going to get a lot of input, you're going to get a lot of feedback. That's why you're here. But whatever you do, make sure that you do it your way. Like find your path and your way and your method. And, one of the like helping people like along the journey of like finding their purpose, I have this equation that I walk people through. And it's pretty simple, but it's something for those of you out there listening. Number one is what is your vision? Like what is the world that you want to create? Like what is that vision that you have? And that world can be the vision for your family or your community or your team or your organization or for your career. Then once you are clear on that vision, and I talk about like creating a compelling vision that pulls you forward versus feeling like you have to push yourself. Am I forcing or am I in flow? And then really getting clear on what are the strengths that I have to bring that vision to life. What are my unique gifts? What do people come to me for? And sometimes that is hard for people to see, to name, to acknowledge because we play small, we're humble. But it's like, what is the thing that you are here to share? And then the third piece of the puzzle is what is the positive impact or result that happens when someone is experiencing you sharing your gifts? So it's vision plus strengths plus impact equals I call it your unique purpose statement. And I have them do this activity where they mad libs their way to like creating like a full sentence. It's just like I create a world of blank. Like what's the world that you want to create by using my blank, which is my strengths, to blank, which is their impact that they're here to make. So that's a fun little exercise for people to dive into.
I love that, Marley. I feel like I just went through those steps literally as I exited the New York City school system. But I did want to jump in with like a different perspective, as Alicia said, like I'm from a scarcity mindset. I wrote down employee mindset instead of entrepreneur mindset as one of my points. So when you said purpose, initially, my initial thought about purpose was just like I knew I wanted to help kids. I didn't consider it as a purpose, but I was like, that was my intention to go to school so that I can eventually like help kids. But because personally I didn't really know myself, it was still rooted in what other people told me how I should be helping kids. And so like there's a people pleasing aspect that I struggled with growing up. And so even though I knew that somewhere inside of me, like I'm good at working with kids, I thought I had to do it the way people were telling me. And it wasn't until I started seeing that what they were telling me was not working, that the unhappiness started to happen. There was like, to me, I feel like I'm a very faith-driven person, and I feel like that was God shaking me up because I needed to see what I brought to the table uniquely and that I was an innovator. But the people around me were using me for my gifts because they saw my gifts and the power it had before I saw it in myself. And so what I learned in that season was identity capital that I wanted to like bring up. I read this book by Meg Jay, and it's called I forgot what it's called, but it has something to do with identity. The first chapter, she talks about identity capital. I think it was things you need to know in your 20s. Something like that is called. I will look it up and share it after. But I read it like years ago when I was in my 20s, so forgive me. But what's resonated with me the most in that book, she was like, there's a societal romanticization of like, oh, the 20s is there for you to have fun and party and enjoy. And then all of a sudden you wake up 30 and you're supposed to be married, 2 kids, a house, a car. And it's like, if realistically you were partying all 20s, there's no way that at 30 you're going to have all those things. And then there's this pressure. So she talked about how to like maximize your time in your 20s so that you can better navigate like the life that you actually want. And one of the things she brought up was identity capital. Like every job, every experience you have adds to who your identity is. And that identity capital builds up to who you actually are, that unique combination of your experiences, AmeriCorps teaching fellows, family counseling, retreating over here, all of that was necessary for God to mold you to the person you are actually authentic to be. And to me, I think that that's where the faith and the gift and alignment comes in. Like first I had a gift, I didn't know. Then I knew I wanted to help kids. And then I didn't recognize my own gift. So that was like my order of those things that she said. But once they came into line, it was after I recognized that I was unhappy in a place that I thought I was supposed to be. So sometimes purpose is you're in purpose without even knowing it. And it's going to take I would say a divining moment or pivoting moment or turning moment or climactic moment in your life to wake you up and realize like, oh, no, you are in purpose. You just had to go through, endure, and boom, now you're ready to receive and do the thing. And it's like God just revealed it to you because now you're prepared to stand on stages and speak. But because you were talking to people one-on-one, you were talking to people in small groups. So you built up that momentum, that resistance, and the capacity to be able to handle the power of your gift the way that it fills you. I hope that helped. I know that was long-winded.
I get really curious right now. So there's something here. Like I want to ask another question inside of this mix, but I also want to just like shake things up at the same time. And so I'm trying to see where I want to where I want to go with this in here. Um, there was something actually in y'all have both talked about the evolution. At least I'm really glad you brought in that word. Um, I think there's something here in this evolution that seems really interesting to me. Um, Dave, it's cool having you here. If you're watching the video, like Dave, you got the shirt that has the brand. You got like the step and repeat behind you, like you're all in it. And I feel like I'm like, oh, okay, like this is where it may go. But then Alicia, you also said like I started out with a blog 14 years ago, and I had and Marley's like I recreated this way. And then Simone's like, by the way, like 2 masters, went on to do a doctorate. And I'm like, there's so many different evolutions of these things. And I think the thing that's coming to me right here, whether we call it, we can use purpose, we can not, we don't have to be tied to that right now here. What I'm really enjoying is I feel like each of you keep choosing to level up and go and like and take your thing to the next level. And this, I'm recognizing that like I'm bringing in me here, and it feels really vulnerable to do it. But I'm also like, I can't wait to get past these episodes when this was my problem, you know. Um, but I want to speak to almost like the leapfrogging element, like the components of you all where you had to make almost like a seismic shift. Maybe even take like a big risk to go and say, hey, I like Marley brought up like this is working, but like now it's time for me to bring this to the level that it's supposed to be, and not like supposed to externally, but like that is really being called out of me. And so I want to there's something here, and if I'm going to be let me see. I think it might help if I'm being more specific. So let me just check in on it. All right, I'll give you context as to why, but I just want to see whatever you're saying. So the context for me is right now I'm doing a podcast right now here, and this is how I like to meet people. And the question in my mind is like, what's stopping me from making this into a media company? Why can't I have 50 episodes a day going? Like why can't I have other people doing these things? And the answer is like, Dave, I saw you like, yeah, like why can't you, right? And yet I find like taking that step to actually like lean all the way in feels like a ceiling that I'm almost like trying to brace myself for like perfection, safety, not taking risk on, so on and so forth. So I think I'm asking that question on behalf of myself, but also any other trailblazer that's like, I know what I know. I know what needs to happen. And yet I'm still finding myself stuck behind but underneath it. And so I'll be really curious what you all either see or have experienced or and how you navigate it. Simone, I think I just saw you unmute right now. So like jump on in.
Yeah, I love your question because I feel like that's the season I just came out of, or I'm still navigating the end of it. And I'm a I'm very organized, detail oriented, and by my education, as you can see, I like to learn things before I have to do them because I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to sound stupid. I want to make sure that I have the proper like education and experience to do the thing that I'm going to do to maximize my level of success, if that makes sense. That's what I always do. I want to maximize my success rate by being as prepared as I can reasonably, but possibly can. So that was my look at it. And then that's when like that identity piece and that emotional piece came in because I would have stayed at that job if I wasn't asked to leave. And once I was asked to leave because, I did something on the benefit of the client and not the company, after I was asked to leave, I was really sick and I felt so much better. Like I was sick for months, going to doctors, going to appointments. And as soon as they say you're no longer a good fit, all the stress like came off of me. And then all the steps that I started taking to um launch my business, started like more people joined my nonprofit. My nonprofit is 8 years old, but my consulting firm is what I'm pushing it off of. Things are just falling. People are responding. Like when it's starting to happen naturally, it's like, oh, I don't even have to put effort. I don't even have to beg you. I could just be me and it's flowing. And I feel like that's when okay, you've done it. But I think the hard part is the fear. Like I kind of already knew I didn't belong in a place, but I still kept pushing it because I was focusing on financing and all this other stuff. But the reality is too, like I was doing 3 different jobs. I was doing a lot of things. If I were to list down all the things I was doing at once, I didn't have any time to meditate. I didn't have any time to like really sit with myself to really realize like, girl, this job is not for you. What do you want to do? I wasn't able to do any of those things. And I felt this pressure to just keep what I had. Let me just hold on what I had. I'm successful. I got 3 degrees. People telling me you're doing a great job. So why not? So I think once you feel in your heart and in your spirit like something is off, I think often we don't trust it and we try to like dismiss it, and that's where we miss that opportunity to grow.
You can go ahead, Dave. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. So, Simone, very interesting that you don't want to make any mistakes. We are who we are. We've become who we become from the mistakes we've learned from. And if we want to become more of what we're capable of, we have to be willing to make some more mistakes, or what I like to call them missed takes. So, like a director and an actor working through a scene or a monologue, and like, hey, Simone, do you reckon if you put more emotion in it, what would it have sounded like? Oh, I probably would have done it like this. Okay, take two, do that. All right. Because if we look at ourselves as humans, and firstly, we talked a lot about evolution here. We've talked about it, but no one said what does it mean or what does it look like. So there's a difference between growth and evolution, and there's this big misconception that we need to keep growing as human beings. Now, growth is about being more for more. How do I be more of what I am for more people, for more things, to serve more in the world? Where evolution is about becoming more. So it's the steady progressive increase of our capabilities. Thus, our capacity for greatness expands. So I believe in the infinite capacity of us as human beings. So, Niiamah, when you talk about, like, we have these glass ceilings that we hit, but we have to be able, well, the way we look to break through those is, how do we see ourselves? Do we see ourselves being capable of something there? And our picture of success, which is not the accumulation of material things, it's who we become through the process of evolving. Right. I'm a fully grown adult. I can maybe grow out a little bit more, but I'm not going to grow up anymore. Right. This is it. But I can continue to evolve as a human being and how I think and how I see the world. But if I'm not willing to make some more mistakes, I'm not willing to steadily and progressively increase my capabilities, my capacity for greatness will never expand beyond what it is. And so when you look at that, so please make sure that we challenge ourselves here. Like, I'm going to have to make some more mistakes. And it's the fear of failure or being what others might say about us that stops us from doing that. And a child, while is learning to walk, will fall down 50 times, but at no stage does it go, this walking crap ain't for me. It just gets back up again because we encourage it to get back up again. But as an adult, we go, hey, look at that person, they fell over, and we laugh at them. So people are afraid to fall over metaphorically to do that. And if we want to continue to evolve as human beings, we have to be willing to make some mistakes in our life. All right. The only mistakes I've made are the ones I haven't learned from, but I am who I am from the ones I am learning from. Right. So it's really important to understand the distinction between growth and evolution, and be willing to make mistakes. It'll never be perfect. Perfection is a direction, not a destination. Okay, so please understand that. And one last thing, I just want to wrap up on just some of the conversations that were leading to this. And we talk about, from purpose and all these things about who I am. It's not about alignment. It's not about finding a way to say yes. It's about learning how to say no. Right? The word decision or decide means to cut out or cut off. And incision is to cut into, but to decide is to cut in, just to cut out or cut off. So it's about me learning what to say no to. Does this serve my purpose, yes or no? And if not, why am I doing it? And if it's a yes, then all I have to do is there a better yes or a better time for that yes? So we can almost make decisions in life binary by going, hey, does this serve my purpose? Does it reject my values? Will it help me create the world I see that Marli was talking about, that world that we see, our vision? Will it help me move towards bringing that world into reality? Yes or no? And if not, why am I doing it? All right? And then we can help to use that to inform the things that we will do and who we need to become in order to bring that world into reality. So I just wanted to leave you guys with that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So the mistakes, I love that so much. So thank you for sharing that. And
We
I
actually have a clapper board that we use when in our team. So we actually, if someone, so yeah.
I love it. And that is how we evolve our capacity. And so it's like, how much can I be with knowing that I'm going to mess up and I'm going to make mistakes, and that is how we grow and how we learn and how we evolve. And I remember, as I started out keynote speaking, one of my first coaches said, your first 100 talks are going to suck. He said, hopefully, like, they're hopefully not going to suck to the audience, but they're going to suck to you. Because so often we want to be at the 100th talk when we're at the first talk. Like, we want to, and we have to go through, like, that journey of learning what lands, what resonates, when I say this way, right? And I think you can only read so many books on how to give a keynote or watch so many videos, but there is nothing like being in the arena in front of a live audience that makes you, expand and grow and evolve. And not every talk I've ever given was as there was perfection as an illusion. But am I willing, like, it's like, am I willing to be in the arena? And some of, my mantras that I have is like, my number one job is to show up and serve, right? Like we talked about that coming full circle of like being of service is what gives meaning and purpose. And when I come from that place, there are no mistakes. And when and if there are, I think that shows our humanity. And going back to this idea of authenticity, nobody, I mean, I've seen the perfect speech, but there's no emotion, there's no rapport, there's no resonance. It's almost too perfect. And that's unrelatable. It's not relatable, right? So how can we be all in knowing we're gonna mess up and it's gonna be okay? And sometimes even that's where the magic happens. So
Yeah. My answer might be too simplistic, but I think there's been so much great thinking and ideas shared thus far. I'm a big reader of Maslow, so like the hierarchy of needs, the self-actualization pyramid. If you're unfamiliar with it, I think it's important to look at. But Niiamah, the advice I would give you is it's a feeling. You know when you're out of alignment with your purpose, you know you're not, you know when you're not on the pathway towards self-actualization. It's when you're burned out. It's when you don't want to wake up in the morning to go to work. It's when you get to Friday and you haven't had an inspiring or engaging conversation. One thing I think we need to reflect on here is we're all so privileged to be having this conversation. Only 1% of the global population has a college degree, and there are people on this planet who are merely fighting for their survival. So the fact that we get to think about, well, what is my purpose and what is my calling? And I don't have to worry about whether or not there's clean drinking water coming from my faucet or if there's food in my refrigerator. So it's a real privilege. And I think to those whom are privileged or blessed, there's a high duty called upon you to lean in to that blessing or that privilege that you've been given. And so I believe that you have intuition and you know when you're on the right path and you know when you've stepped off. You know when it's the right time to scale a media company. When I started 14 years ago, it was not the right time to scale a media company for a myriad of reasons. But guess what? In 2022, the message was knocking on my little brain of, okay, it's time, hit the gas, let's go. The moment is here. So I think as long as you just keep pursuing the path and you consistently check in with yourself to make sure that you're remaining true to this incredible privilege you've been given to pursue a purpose, everything's going to connect.
Whew, I am like, yeah, this is a lot right now where I'm just deeply, deeply grateful. We're coming up. We're gonna come up to the top of the hour. If anyone has to drop off, like, can you just show me the quick show of hands? Okay, it's okay. Sorry. Like I want to make sure we wrap up here, and I really want to make sure that the outliers get a chance to get to follow you and go deeper in your world. So what we'll do is we'll shift to that in a bit. I will come back and let you know one of my insights from all of this because y'all were speaking into me, and I want to make sure that you get a reflection on that. So why don't we do this? We're going to ask Alicia, can you share with us the last two questions? What's the best way for people to contact you or basically go deeper into your world? And what's an insight that you got from this conversation, if any? All right, what's something you're taking away from it? So we'll start with you, Alicia. We'll go around and I'll make sure I'll include it as well so you know what's going on in my world.
Well, thank you again. What a pleasure and privilege to be here with you all today. My website is ruling sports, like a legal ruling sports with an s.com. That's the best way to follow along. I'm also on LinkedIn, so Alicia Jessop on LinkedIn. Feel free to add me there. My biggest takeaway, I learned so much from everyone, but man, Marley, you inspired me to start saying no. And on Monday, I'm going to clear a bunch of stuff off of my to-do list. So thank you. I really appreciate it. This was the kick in the pants that I needed.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Alicia. Like, if you need a drop, feel free. We're in your world. All right. Appreciate you. Awesome. Marley, why don't we come to you? Same question. What's the best way for us to go deeper in your world? And what is an insight, if any, you got from today?
Yeah, beautiful. So best way to find me, my website, marliwilliams.com, Marli, and Instagram. That's where I'm hanging out. So follow me at Marli Williams, spelled the same way. And I think that, I love this be you on purpose, right? And coming back to that doing that is a constant evolution of reflecting on what feels the most lit up for me right now, and can I lean more into that? And this idea of like, yeah, go all in on the things that light you up.
Thank you, Marley. Dave, let's come to you on this one.
Yes, the best way to contact me is just daveclare.com, DAVECLARE.com. You can go to Circle Leadership, but it's a lot longer to type. So for me, yeah, there's been so many insights. First and foremost, our mission at Circle Leadership is to be trailblazers of revolutionary leadership. So the fact that there's a whole bunch of other trailblazers out there is really comforting for me, because sometimes as trailblazers, we can feel that we're on our own, we're blazing new trails, and we're finding different paths to the destination. And to know that there's other trailblazers out there is fantastic. And the other thing I would always remind people is that be you are the first two syllables of beautiful. Beautiful. So you're most beautiful when you're being you.
Love it.
That came out a lot today. So everyone, thank you for being you today.
Thank you, Dave. And then Simone, why don't you bring us? Well, I'll wrap us up after. So why don't you let us know about the best way to go deeper and your
Yeah.
insight?
The best way to go deeper into my world is on Instagram, at I am the USW. USW stands for Ultimate Social Worker. So if you just type in I am the USW, you will find me on Instagram, and my nonprofit is RYM_INC. If you wanted to learn more about that, and I'm on LinkedIn as well as Simone Muschett. So you can find me there. My takeaway, wow. I was listening actively, so I kind of lost it, but it was kind of tied into what everyone said, in that I struggle with fitting in, and this session showed me that I don't fit in because I stand out, and being able to have the privilege, like I think Alicia used that word, the privilege, like I didn't even recognize, like when I walk, I should stand up taller. Like I am privileged to not only be in a space like this, but be invited and feel like, yo, I'm hanging in this conversation just like everybody else, just as strong. And so I just thank you guys for the empowerment and the affirmation of allowing me to be in this space with you. I will take that, and thank you for confirming and modeling for me that it's okay to be me in this conversation. So thank you guys.
Certainly here. Like this is y'all are you're a really special conversation for me. You challenged me. I asked for it. And then I brought myself in and I'm like, oh, did I make a miscalculation? But what I can say is that y'all really delivered. And thank you for speaking directly to me. The insight that I got from this here was just that like it's time to actually take a risk again. Like it's not like the failures I'm willing to take on are more in like the mistakes without mistakes elements. It's like put something on the table, stand for it, and like and grow into it. And that growth versus evolution distinction is gonna mess with my mind for like that's my heart for a long time because I've always been I'm growth oriented and I'm like no I actually think that it's like I want to evolve I exist to evolve. So I want to thank you all here, outliers. Like, please go into each of their worlds, share with them the biggest insight you got from this conversation. And, if there's someone in your world right now one person who would get so much from this conversation, please take the time to share it with that person. I used to think it was about getting to everyone, but I really think that it's really about if one person at a time, we can, like, one person, one conversation at a time, we can reach the right person, this whole thing becomes worth it. That's the whole reason we do it. All right. So until the next time we talk, be you on purpose. Journey on.